Sean Don coming back with a third technical analysis this Wednesday morning. Here we have Jessica Hoeffner. She is the newest Grip and Rip online coaching athlete. She signed up for Throws programming, so included with that is a complimentary technical analysis to get her started with her technical improvement journey. So if you're interested in that same sort of treatment, go to my website, gripandrip.co. Sign up for the online Throws programming option, or if you just want the in-depth technical analysis, you can sign up for that too. But yeah, let's get into it. We've had a busy morning and I got a lot to do, so we're gonna start ripping it, dude. Grip and rip, baby. Let's take a look at Jessica's throw. Jessica is, I guess, post-collegiate, throwing for fun. She graduated, I think, I don't know how long ago now, 10 years or something like that. We competed, actually, technically. We were both in Division III at the same time, went to the same nationals back in 2012, I believe it was. So her goal is to surpass her college PR. And honestly, after not throwing hammer a bunch over the past, I don't know how many years, I don't know how long you've been away from the sport, still looks pretty solid. And you said you only did 2 turns in college through 50 meters, and now you're trying to learn 3 turns, and this looks pretty solid, honestly. So let's break it down. But you're starting what looks like kind of square at the back of the circle. First and foremost, in this very preliminary swing, in this first start to your wind, bring the ball forwards, so straight out, and let the ball come around instead of bringing the hands across the body here. So wind the ball forwards, and then let the ball come around you instead of creating that rotational force. Just a little tip there. And then make sure you let the ball, like I said, you got to actually get the ball forwards a little bit. As you can see, the hands, ball doesn't really get forwards or stretched out until about there. So think about kind of facing the right a little bit more, bring the ball forwards, and then hold some stability in the body. So don't open up towards 0, because you can see the tendency is here. You bring the ball across, you open up the shoulders to 0, and it just makes it harder to connect early on. And there's just not much centripetal force in the winds. Good wire angle here though, and then as you can see, you're opening up, connecting early, arms kind of nice and relaxed. Left arm left arm outstretched across the body, and then you have pretty good patience here. Let the ball come forward now. So you like that first preliminary swing. It's very minute, but it does make a huge difference, I think, in the overall setup of the throw. And then as you come through, pretty patient, pretty stable in the body. Could maybe bend the knees a little bit more. It looks a little stiff, but you are countering it pretty well. Solid there. And then, like I said, just try to open up and face the right in every single wind, and then throughout just the entirety of the winds, opening up the shoulders to 0 at any point in the winds, I think, kind of is hard to come back from. And then with that, just makes it harder to connect early, because as I see in your entry, you know, you open up the shoulders a little bit, you connect a little bit, but you can see the head kind of more or less looking at 0. And then you can see you're just always kind of ahead of a little bit. So if you try to open up a little bit more, maybe find a focal point off to like 30, 45 degrees, and then kind of stick with that. That should help connect a little bit early in entry. And then from there, you can reach out wider to the right, connect a little bit earlier, have a wider orbit out to the right. And then as you come through 0, you can see the hands are kind of down a little bit. What looks kind of like, let's say, like your belly button-ish. You want to get it up a little bit more towards the sternum. You want the hands up and out. You want the ball reaching, pulling on you. I should say creating tension. And with the hands down a little bit, looks like you're trying to like set it up and get that rotation coming from that right side. But with that, the orbit's just a little short, and that left side is always just a little bit ahead. If you look at this position right here, it looks like you're trying to do the right idea of turning with the ball, but the ball needs to get a little bit more ahead. So like at this frame right here, the ball should be there-ish based on what the body's doing. So you want to turn, or I guess you just gotta let the ball get a little bit more ahead. Like this lower body movement's pretty solid, but the ball is just a little bit behind you the whole time. As you can see, that left side's leading a little bit. Lower body's ahead of it a good bit, which is usually pretty rare. Usually it's the opposite. The lower body's behind. So you have some parts and pieces here. You just gotta line it up better, get the ball a little bit more ahead, let the ball stretch a little bit more. And then as you can see, with the ball not quite being out away from the body, not quite having centripetal sort of force away from the body. Looks like you lift a little bit. Also, part of this is your low point, which could just come from not having enough tension on the ball. Ball kind of drops around the right and then lifts. You kind of lift the hands up around the left. You can see a little lift there. So the ball gets a little steep on you. And if you look at just the movement of the hands compared to the ball, you can see there's just a little like wonkiness in there. But you just gotta let the ball get a little ahead. Let the ball whoosh, swing the ball through zero, let the ball get ahead, hold that body back a little bit, slow it down a little bit. But as you go through single support, try to drop this left knee. Let's see if we can't quite see the foot. But try to get that left knee to drop towards 180, all right? So that allows the ball to stretch towards the sector. You want the ball to stretch towards the sector every single turn. You want to feel that pulse. That means the ball's growing towards the sector and accelerating towards the sector. And with this left leg's too stiff, it kind of kills that a little bit. So, but pretty solid. You can maybe get a little bit more hip flexion, that knee up a little bit more in single support to get that right side more with it. It's kind of a little passive, a little down. Decent step through, but then same sort of thing. Like I said, you want the ball to stretch kind of in the direction of the right sector, or somewhere between 180 and the right sector, so maybe 160, whatever you want to call it. But you just want to feel the ball stretch there. Drop that left knee forwards, walk through the circle essentially, walk forwards, and then you want to think about stepping forwards or stepping this right knee, connecting this right knee, right hip to the ball. So if the ball stretches forwards, you want that right side to also step forward towards it, where it looks like you go to step around. And like I said, you can't quite see the feet. Maybe it looks a little over-rotated here. But you catch, and it's not bad. You know, it's only 4K hammer. You seem like a pretty fit person. Two-sport athlete in college, I believe it was. Catch, decent, good posture here. And then you just got to catch and get this right side a little bit more active. Right foot, right leg a little bit more active to stabilize this left side. You can see there's just a little bit of, you need to think about it kind of backwards, I suppose, where like you need to push through this quad almost to stabilize this left side. And then as the throw goes on, you need to use kind of the abductors of the hip a little bit. But you do a pretty good job. You're not getting pulled around a bunch. Like I said, it's only 4K, so it's not too hard. It shouldn't be too hard. But left side, pulling back just a little tiny bit before the ball gets to zero. So same sort of thing. But now you start to see this body connect to the ball a little bit better. So what I was talking about in the previous turn is getting better here. Ball is kind of where it needs to be in terms of, you know, where the body's at. Everything's kind of connected better. And you just see there's just a little bit of left side tension here. You can see that left foot kind of pull off the ground, left side lead a little bit. So there's some left side tension that's happening. And just kind of killing the momentum of the throw a little bit because that left leg is always a little bit ahead. So you got to chill out this left leg, maybe get a little deeper in this left leg, be a little bit more soft, I suppose, on that left leg. And then make sure to, you know, PT assistant, I'd say maybe hip internally rotate a little bit, or think about, you know, some isometric sort of hip internal rotation, controlling that left leg a little bit. And then pretty solid. If we look at the orbit and we come back to the previous turn, it does get a little shorter around the left. I think that is just because you're a little over rotational. I think if you try to step forwards into this first catch, it'll help out a lot. It's just his first over rotation that kind of shortens things, I think, and makes you pull back. But as you go through, pretty solid here. Pretty solid catch position. Looks like you have a little bit more direction towards the sector. Feet are a little bit closer together. And then as you go through double support, you just got to be a little bit more patient and then stay down through this left leg, which, as we've talked about, is perhaps an issue because of some of your past injuries. Left leg stiffens up, straightens out, pulls ahead a little bit, shortens around the left. So if we go back to the previous turn, look at the orbit again. Again, gets a little shorter. Yeah, kind of pulling up, lifting up a little bit. And then you can see it's even more pronounced here. Like I said, that stiffening, that straightening of that left leg looks like you really pop up in this final double support going into the finish. Popping up on that left leg, ball gets a little steep on you, and then you go to catch. Like I said, so it's this So you're stiff in that left leg, it kind of pops you up. You rise up with the ball, and then you're going to kind of crash down here, which you can see if you look at the hips. Boom, right there, that little crash. Heavy on that right side, and then orbit still kind of low around that right side, and then higher on the left. And there's just not a ton of tension in this catch because the ball gets a little bit shorter. So the longer the orbit is around the left, the more time you have in single support to catch early. Also, you need to get that stretch and direction in the sector. And then from here, looks like you're not quite really rotating, turning with the hips as well because that late catch here. And then from there, it's only 4K, so you're not going to really get pulled around too much. But yeah, if you just caught with a better, if you had a better catch in this final catch, you'd have more tension, stability, and then things would get a little stronger in the finish. Pretty solid finish though. You don't really pull back too much. Stick the finish more or less. And then even the video you sent me, I think it was on Monday, already looked a little bit better. So yeah, hopefully this gives you a little food for thought. Like I said, open up the shoulders a little bit more in the winds. Try to flatten out the entry a little bit, and then get the ball out wider to the right. That should clear a lot of things up. And then just whoosh the ball, push the ball ahead, sling the ball ahead, swing it, whatever you want to terminology you want to use. That's what we get to figure out, see what works for you in this online coaching process. But just a little bit of a better entry, and then a little bit more direction, and step forward in the first catch, I think will clear a lot of things up for you. Because it looks like your mechanics are pretty solid for only doing 2 turns of college. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, Jessica. We're obviously going to have a lot of discourse over the next month of this online coaching process. And yeah, so, oh, what is going on? Why is this happening? How do I make this go away? Stop it. What in the hell? I don't know what's going on. But yes, we're back. All right. Technical difficulties. If anybody else out there is interested in online coaching, go check out my website, gripperrip.co. All right. That's it. If you have any questions about the coaching process, shoot me a message on the contact form or message me on Instagram at SDThrows. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, Sean Don signing off. Goodbye.